Okay, hi everybody. We're really excited to talk to you today about Clark, which is a several-year project, and Clark is alive and well. That's what we'd like to let you know here. Additionally, we are very excited that we have started during COVID a Plan C, and that's what we hope that all of you participants can contribute to Clark. And we're going to talk about that, but we want to give a little bit of background. Essentially, Clark started because of a workforce shortage, and particularly the faculty workforce shortage. And it's funny, I gave a talk this morning. Everybody talks so much about the workforce shortage. We don't talk about the faculty shortage except in these groups. So we know we can't solve that tomorrow, but we can help and provide resources for faculty who are trying to build their programs, like the cyber ops, UMGC, our neighbors. And, you know, many of the people that are on this call and many people at this conference have contributed to Clark. Clark actually started as part of the National Cybersecurity Curriculum Program, and over 50 schools contributed curriculum to Clark. And Sid and I are the only two people in the building, but we are here so that we can kind of share what is going on in Clark. And again, what we really hope by the end that many of you will consider contributing to Clark as part of our Plan C. You ready?
No.
No.
I'm not.
Okay. So essentially,
yeah, I am not.
Okay, now it is. All right.
I'm not. Sorry, we had a little bit of a slide mix-up. This is my first day on Zoom, so I'm really trying to figure out how this thing works. So, you know, what we wanted to talk about is one, give a very quick spiel on Clark itself. There are, of course, several of you who may have heard about this already. We wanted to update you all, but also welcome to the new CAE community members. And so we want to tell you a little bit about Clark, and in keeping with Vinny's theme on heroes, we are talking about the 4 incredible things about Clark. So what's the first incredible thing? We think it's the numbers. Clark, as of this month, as of last month, is 3 years old. We are doing very well thanks to NSA funding, and we will also tell you about other funding that we have received from the Insight Center at Whatcom Community later. So we are alive and well. We are 3 years old. What does that mean? There are about 783 learning objects in Clark, which are pieces of curriculum, all mostly produced by funded grants through NSA and NSF. There are about 330 nano modules, which are essentially learning objects that take 20 minutes or less to complete in classroom or outside, all focused on cybersecurity, of course. There's about 476 micro modules, which are less than 4 hours. There are about 336 modules, and I'm looking at Blair every time because she invented this taxonomy, which is, I think, about a week. 4 to 10 hours. 4 to 10 hours of work. There's about 93 courses, which you can't really define how long a course is, but a semester or a quarter. And there are about 3,200 users from 2,000 plus organizations, most of which are academic institutions, but we have a bunch of industry folk on the platform. Can't imagine they're downloading too much. Most of the downloads happen. We crossed about 8,000 downloads last week, happen at academic institutions. We have 4 featured collections. All the curriculum in Clark is divided into collections. Each collection is unique, is funded possibly by a different agency, has different peer review criteria and such. We have the NSA NCCP collection, which was about 55 grants that were given out by NSA starting about 3 years ago. Clark was one of them. And this is certainly the biggest set and the most curated set in Clark. We have the C5 collection. C5, as you know, is an NSF grant focused on community colleges at Whatcom Community College. And they've produced a bunch of good stuff focused at community college and high school level. We have the security injections correction, which was an NSF funded project focused on CS0, CS1, and CS2 on secure coding. And our newest, which is coming in, is the Insight Center collection. Insight Center, I'm sure all of you are very familiar with this, is at Whatcom Community College. Corinne Sandy heads it. And of course, she is very active in the CAE community. And the idea here is with the Insight Center collection, Insight Center and many other centers all over the country, of course, including ours, and many grants produce a lot of curriculum. And what we are beginning to offer with Clark is a possible situation where all of the curriculum on Clark is always free, and we'll talk more about that. But centers like Insight can pay a little subscription fee to host their curriculum on Clark. The curriculum still has to be free, but that helps us sustain Clark. So we are certainly open to that if anybody's interested with your recent big grants or your future big grants. And if you need a nice place to host curriculum. So the second incredible, you want to talk about this, quality assurance?
Well, the second incredible thing about Clark is that when we built Clark and working together, I was contracting with NSA at the time, and Towson was one of the pilots for this digital library. We realized a lot of digital libraries had failed. Many of you all have used other libraries that have not been successful. So we did a ton of research on what would make the library work the first time. And what we learned is that it better be good the first time people come to it. So we paid a lot of attention to quality assurance on the first collection. And when I say quality assurance, we had pedagogical experts, we had panels of peer reviewers, subject matter experts, and then worked with the faculty to make sure that the curriculum was technically correct and also usable, adaptable, was educationally sound. And Clark actually, one of the things we'll talk about, actually helps make your curriculum more usable, and also helps you make your learning objects, which is one of the big strengths of Clark. But the final step, which is one thing we probably will keep regardless of what the new collection is we have an editor on staff that does proofing. You know, we all make typos and the links expire, and we have an editor. Before anything sees the light of day, we make sure that the editor has checked all the links, make sure that everything is grammatically and spelling wise correct. So these are the different components of the quality assurance that we have.
And of course, now, as we are moving towards most of this curriculum, almost all of this curriculum released, we are always open to crowdsource ratings. So if you're using the curriculum on Clark, I know many of you are, please feel free to give ratings to curriculum to help others. I think one of the big things we like to say is Clark is really about the curriculum that's in it, right? And the curriculum that's in it is contributed by all of you. We really have nothing to do with it. And so we are always very thankful for all of you to be submitting your curriculum to Clark with the understanding that the curriculum is under the Creative Commons license, and we all want to share it with this community and beyond, right? So just to talk about a few topics that exist in Clark, the first question when I am looking for let's say when you're applying for a designation, right? How do I find something on a particular topic? So we just wanted to go through a few things. So there's software-defined networking from Virginia Tech. There's law and policy of cybersecurity by Marcus at University of Maryland, Baltimore. A lot of downloads. That's law school. And if you are a techie like me and maybe even like Blair, right? I mean, we sort of shake in our boots when we are talking about the legal implications of cybersecurity in our first cybersecurity class, right? So this is good stuff. Basic, another shake in the boots kind of thing. Basic concepts of content cryptography. Boy, I don't want to teach that, but Abhishek knows how to do that, and so his curriculum is on here. Adrian. Blockchain. Again, we obviously picked this for a reason because these are topics we are all wanting. Matt Bishop, race conditions and computer security. Who better to teach that than Matt? Yukai on SCADA systems and ICS. John Heslin on the global cyber threat environment. A bunch of fantastic videos that that students can watch at home, which is what they're doing since March, right? And learn about the global cyber threat environment. Again, one of those topics that are not always easy to teach. Cybersecurity concepts, Jim at University of Idaho. The point being, these are all your curriculum. It's all free curriculum. You see the license below. It's Creative Commons, share alike, non-commercial. So it's always remains your curriculum, and others can use it. I think the last thing that we love is Clark is really, the way we have designed it is not your mother's digital library, right? We have looked very closely at digital library research. We have looked at branding. We have looked at purpose and focus. We have looked at ease of use. We've looked at communities to support it, which is where we are. I mean, in some ways, we are at the growth phase now, if you see in the diagram, and we are hoping to stay there for a little bit, build your trust, get quality, more quality content, and then move on to the timeline. So a few questions that we always get asked. We are funded by the NSA. We are very appreciative of that. We are funded by the Insight Center now to host their curriculum. We are hoping for more funding. Clark is a nonprofit, shifting to a nonprofit mode. So we are happy to receive more funding from other centers. Nobody's making any money out of this. This is student run and student led. The team is, and it's hosted on AWS, and all we do is AWS cycles at this point. We hope to get to a sustainability plan within the 5 years, stabilize the nonprofit, and we had, Blair and I sort of have a 10-year window, and after that somebody else can take it over. Is sort of what we are thinking.
Well, so I want to just interrupt one second. One of the other questions we get is, how do we keep the curriculum up to date? Yeah. And that is something we are shifting to now. We actually are starting a pilot study with Melissa Dark, who many of you all know. And we're going to come up with a process, not just dive in and start trying to figure out how to check the curriculum to see if it's up to date, but we're going to actually get an advisory board in place to come up with a thorough review process. Some ideas that we've had include time-stamping curriculum. Of course, we have the crowdsourcing. We talked yesterday to Lynn about possibly making this part of your CAE requirement. Some of you know Sid and I run the Cyber Ed workshop, which happens once a year, funded by NSF. And we've thought about using that once we can actually, maybe we don't even have to wait for us to fly someplace fun, to use that for curriculum review. So we very much have in mind that cybersecurity curriculum needs to be updated at the speed of relevance, is what we always say. So please understand that right now, everything's good in terms of time and the relevance, but we very much have this in mind.
Okay. Also, I'm also noticing another incredible thing is this is the longest Blair has not interrupted me for in a presentation. So Blair, you want to talk about Plan C? Which
okay. So during COVID, we all had a shift at home, and if you're like me, I was looking for resources that would help me. That you can't. I watched a meme yesterday. You can't just move your classes online. There's a lot of work involved in that. So since we're all virtual teaching, not only are we looking for materials, but a lot of us are creating materials. I was looking for things that were video-based as a way to supplement my talking head, looking for active labs. So we saw a huge growth in users during COVID, as many faculty were looking for good curriculum in one place, which is what the goal of Clark is. And what we did is we opened up something called Plan C. And Plan C, not Plan B, because we're at Plan C, is we'd like to collect your curriculum. And aside from editing, we'll have a review process, but it won't be anywhere near to the degree that we've been using throughout. We would like to collect your materials. We'd like to actually provide a tiny bit of financial incentive for doing this. So we are, again, this can be nano modules, this can be micro modules, this can be modules. The deadline that we have set for this is the end of January. We ask that you submit, there's a Plan C that you can click right on in Clark, and it says contribute here. you can, of course, you can email either of us and ask us, like, what would you like this? Would you not? I'm guessing we're going to say yes. Yes, we'd like any curriculum. We don't have a lot of K-12 curriculum right now, for example. So if your curriculum can be used in that area, that would be useful. But anything, we're open for anything. I am a firm believer that you can never have enough curriculum on a topic, because our students are different kind of learners. You can teach one student one way, or you can teach one student 3 ways, and they still may not get it. But the point is, you need lots of different modes of teaching to teach these difficult topics. So do
you want me to shift to the actual site?
You're going to go ahead and so he's going to shift. Again, the deadline is January 31st. He's going to show you on Clark where you can submit. And we are hoping to offer stipends anywhere from $200 to $500 for the curriculum that we decide to put on Clark. So, you know.
And I wanted to say that as we show you the contribution to Plan C, I think this was supposed to be and/or. That you can be a good person
you can also do
and want to earn money as well. It is not just about
when is January 31st? How is contribute to Plan C, and why is because you're a good person or you'd like to earn a small stipend for this work. So Sid's now going to go to clark.center.
And I'm going to do that before I do that. Christine, how much time do we have left?
You have about 13 minutes left.
Okay, good.
How much?
13.
13. Oh wow, very good.
We've done this talk in the what is it, the 5-minute?
Yeah, in the 5-minute version too. So I'm very impressed.
What were they called? This fast talk.
Fast talks. Yeah. So Christine, can you also confirm that you can see my screen and see my slides as well?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. Awesome. So this is Clark, and what I wanted to do, I think, is first go through searching and show them how you could find.
This would be the perspective of the user. So we talk a lot about Clark, but one thing that I want to make clear to you all is the way you would visit Clark. So the first way you might visit Clark is as a user. You're looking for a curriculum. So Sid has logged in, but all that's required for a login is just a valid username. That's all it is. And we just use this to in case we want to know if your curriculum has been updated, that you've downloaded, so we can notify you. There's no other real reason that we use your email. But one simple login with an email, and you are into Clark.
And how do I spell adversarial?
Adversarial. So in Clark, there's a general search, and once you search for a topic, you can search by topic. You'll see, first of all, on the left-hand side, the collections that we talked about. You'll see the nanomodules, micromodules, units, and courses on the left-hand side. You'll see that we have different levels. We obviously don't have much at the elementary school level yet. For
adversarial thinking?
Right.
I don't think we want to teach adversarial thinking at the elementary school level. But yes.
No, but I'm saying we don't have much there, period. And it's funny because I was at a conference this morning, and they said, what do you have for K-12? How do you teach these things to K-12? And there's a lot of work going on there. We'd love to bring that all in, but that was not the original focus of the curriculum we put in here. And then at the bottom, very interestingly, you're going to see that we have guidelines. So all of the curriculum that is entered into Clark can be mapped to, I know we're not supposed to use the word map anymore, can be aligned to CSEC 2013, to Gen Cyber concepts, to NSA KUs, to ABET accreditation. So you can do mapping as you enter it, and you can also search for things on mapping. Now you're demonstrating that we have not done the best job of mapping as we've entered it yet, or that was not our focus. But
right.
That is something that is one of the things that we will move forward and do, a lot more mapping or aligning, as the word goes.
So, one of the things we like to point out here is, as far as the alignment to these guidelines is concerned, even though our technical editors go in and make corrections, we really expect the contributors to do it. You know your curriculum best. We don't, right? So generally this is done by the contributors, and that was certainly not our focus. And I'll show you how cool it is, though, in the end and how easy it is to do it. At some point when we can all get together, we have been hoping to do these alignment parties. And a bunch of us with designations can sort of sit around with some beverages and align the curriculum to knowledge units. Because, for me, Blair is currently working on our CAE cyber defense redesignation. And the typical question we ask every 5 years is, how do I satisfy that KU? Right, and so that is certainly a search vector that we want to offer on Clark.
Now, I will say that you can see all of this without logging in. What logging in does for you allow you to download it, which is that what you're going to try? You're going to demonstrate?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, I mean, this is the adversarial thinking module by Seth Hammond at CW University. Seth might be on this call, may not be, can't see it right now. But what you can see is he has mapped this to Gen Cyber concepts, which is pretty cool. And it's also one of our well-downloaded objects. It has 38 downloads. But the idea is you can see that all of these go through versioning. So Seth, if you made any changes to this, you're welcome to submit a new revision. And all the folks who have downloaded this get notifications saying that there's a new revision on the module, and so on and so forth. So you can download it. It comes straight down. One of the big things for us is, and thanks again to all the contributors, one of the big things for us is it really just comes down, right? You can then do whatever you want with it. We don't want to give you Blackboard specific modules. We don't want to give you any kind of learning management system specific modules. Some of the modules do have virtual machines that you can download with them, but many of them don't. It's really for you to use as you see wish, right? That completely with the spirit of Creative Commons. So you slice and dice it. You use what you want.
Which in our mind is a really big plus. Very seldom do you actually just use plug and play curriculum. At least I can't teach from a set of slides that I have not modified myself, et cetera, et cetera. So when you download this curriculum, it's up to you to do whatever you want. You can use pieces of it, you can change it. So, we think that's a very big advantage, and it works the way that professors actually work in the classroom.
And so let me flip around and create a learning object. So Blair had talked about Plan C, and Plan C is all about us submitting curriculum that we may have created over the last 8 months in a frenzy to shift right to the way we are teaching now. So I've logged in, and this is right on top, create a learning object for the Plan C collection. And the idea here is, this is what we call the blooming onion. Blair, maybe you can talk about it while I get to learning object.
So this is and the initial focus of Clark was really more about contributing curriculum. Sid and I have worked in the cybersecurity education space for a long time, and oftentimes we found barriers to contributing curriculum. We wanted this to be a benefit for authors to contribute, not be a tremendous lift for them to be able to add curriculum. So we added this component where basically it's drop downs for the length of your module, the authors of your module, the size of your module, who can use your module. And then the part that we're the most proud of is where you create learning outcomes. Now, you all know, I'm preaching to the choir, but most of us are not trained in education. We are practitioners of education and trained in the subject in which we teach. So when it comes to making learning outcomes, and when we heard of Bloom's taxonomy, and we know what we're supposed to do, but we oftentimes struggle with this. So we have tried to help you here. And we have used Bloom's taxonomy in the 3 levels you see there is the remember and understand, which is the 2 lower levels of Bloom's, and the very high level, which is evaluate and synthesize, and then apply and analyze in the middle. When you select the level of Bloom's, you'll see that the understand, can you click on the understand just 1 second? So there is a pull down of all the Bloom verbs, okay? So we love this, we're so proud of this. And some people have told me they've gone back to Clark just to make learning outcomes, because this really helps you as you develop your learning outcomes. So as he's writing the learning outcome and using the verbs that let him think about what level of learning he'd like to get to, on the right, it's going to come up with suggestions of mapping based on the keywords that you're using. So this might show you the nice framework. In this case, it's showing you Gen Cyber concepts.
So you see we have loaded the guidelines, and we keep updating them as new ones start coming up. So understand the concepts of secure coding. In CAE Cyber Defense 2019, one of the KU's statement says, understand vulnerabilities inherent in different programming languages. I'm going to just assume that now, when we say alignment, we don't necessarily say it is in fact alignment, right? It is not coverage
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
I'm certainly liking the word alignment a lot,
Yeah.
actually. So you can see on the side, right, that this will give you suggestions. So this is kind of interesting that maybe keep it simple. Simple could be here as well. So I mean, if I let's say analyze the TLS protocol, which certainly should be in this module, I have a feeling. So here you can talk about data security, cryptography, describe how. So again, alignment, and you start mapping these. And of course, the beauty of this is if this is done, it helps others like us, like me, who doesn't understand the TLS protocol, search for exactly that and find the appropriate learning outcome. So moving on to materials now. Here you just get to upload whatever your materials you have. If your virtual machines are bigger than 5 gigs, then we usually like you to reach out to us, host it somewhere else, kind of situation. But most of the times, most of the materials end up here. It's supposed URLs, it's supposed notes. There are modules that are hosted other places, and all it needs is a URL. Notes are usually funding notes and things of that sort. And then you go ahead and submit it for review. Of course, descriptions should not be an empty string. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that for the time. And that comes then to our review team. And one of the big things for us is, of course, all of the material on Clark is 508 compliant. All of the material on Clark is accessible. Clark itself is 508 compliant. And you can pick the collection you want it reviewed under. Each collection, which you can find on our website, on our homepage, has a different review criteria. So I'm going to say Plan C in this case. And you adhere to the Creative Commons 4 license. And you submit for review, and it is ready to go. And you can sort of see on your dashboard where your material is. I have a lot here, so I'm going to ignore that. But where your material is it released? Is it under review, et cetera, et cetera. So just to repeat, right, Plan C is accepting curricula. We are hoping to run stipends of some sliding scale between 200 and 500, depending on what you submit. This is really not, this is not about money, of course. This is about spreading your curriculum to the rest, sharing with the rest of the community. Any questions that we can answer? I know we are now at time, I think, Christine. And I'm looking at the chat now. Chris, thank you. You've always been very supportive of Clark. So, okay. And if you you know where to find us, if you have any questions, if you
we really hope you have, maybe wait till the semester's over, and then you had something that worked really well in the classroom. Please share it. We're all in this together. Our mission from Clark since day one has been free cybersecurity curriculum for the nation. And we thank you for helping with all that you do. And this is something that I think is going to continue to grow as we start to submit our grants and put some of the material here. So in the meantime, if you have something you'd like to contribute, we'd love to see it.
I do have, Christine, we don't have any time left, right? I do see at least 2 questions that I can very quickly answer if you want.
Sure. We're about to head to lunch, but
yes,
if you want to stick around and answer questions, that's totally okay.
In the virtual world, we don't eat lunch.
Yeah,
so Casey, how do you ensure that the content is not copyrighted by others? So that's a good point, Casey. In one of our fine prints, we ask you to ensure that you do not upload copyrighted content. We adhere to the same guidelines. If somebody does come back to us and say that we are hosting copyrighted content, we will take it down promptly.
Up till now, the review has been pretty stringent as far as that goes.
And we take care of that in our review as well, right? So, but beyond that, it is of course up to you. You shouldn't be uploading copyright content. Most of us, at least in this group, lived through the Napster era. You don't want to upload copyright content. That's just not a thing. Any thought on GitLite functionality? Check in, check out. We have, Chris. We have fairly serious versioning built into the learning module. So we do maintain versions, and we can go up and down on the versions. And when I say we, I mean administrators. We don't act. That's actually not true. You can also go through versions of your own learning objects. So those are my 2 quick answers. We don't want to get between you and lunch.
Please reach out and use Clark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you guys mind actually putting your emails in the chat? I really like
Sure.
Clark. That
Absolutely.
actually sounds so cool. I have a quick question. I'm a student, but I was wondering, students aren't allowed to like see the site and actually use Clark, are they?
Yes. Oh, of course. It's totally
Oh,
open
wow.
access. There's no
Okay.
restrictions, essentially. We've
Okay.
actually had a fair amount of industry people reach out to us looking for different things that they were trying to learn about on their own, and students as well. Sometimes it's geared towards faculty. I mean, that was our goal, but it is open to anybody.
Okay. Wow, that is really, really cool. Awesome. Okay. Yeah.
The
That's
thing
my
is,
only
it's
question.
like we did so much Googling and you find a lot of crap. And the idea is that here we don't have everything, but what we have is pretty good.